introduction is, my name is Al Watson. I am the district ranger here on the Kern River District. And so you'll notice a couple of things. One is we have some items that we're going to be doing some writing on. Two is, didn't know this, but some historical photos, which I think is just actually really, really awesome.
Ooh, wow.
And so for people that were here previously, that was in January, I believe, maybe.
December.
Was it December?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So December we met over here, and that discussion had to do with what are the positives about Miracle Hot Springs and what are the challenges about Miracle Hot Springs. This meeting is about how we are wanting to move forward as a community. What I'm hoping we will do is stay on track and not go back to what we talked about in January about some of the things that may have happened previous to that. What I would like for all of us here is to say, what is the way forward for Miracle that makes sense? So, okay, any questions about that so far?
Well, no.
Okay, so for those that know me and know meetings we've held in the past, this isn't me talking and everybody else listening. This is all of us talking about something. So if you have something to say, you will have an opportunity to share your thoughts. So I need a couple of volunteers. The first one has to have ridiculously good penmanship. Yes. Okay. So because what I want to do is the first part, I want to recap what are some of the things we all have agreed upon of why Miracle is important to us. I want to write it down. I also want to write down what are some of the challenges that impacted Miracle specifically within the last year. Okay? So that we have a visual and then we can move forward. So I want those on these two. And so if we need to have more room, we can just flip it over. So,
In the middle of
hey, so here is the critical piece of information. These two pins are for these only. They're dry erase. This one's going to be for future planning ideas. Now I want to narrow it down to what makes sense for us as far as Miracle looks like, short term and long term.
This one over here.
So this one is going to be the positives. And if people have something that they want to put down, like here's an example. Miracle Hot Springs has been used for 1,000 years. Miracle Hot Springs has been something that is positively impacted my health. That would be a positive. Miracle Hot Springs has made my mental health a much more positive, those type of things. So we're going to write it down, and if you want to come up here and write something down, that's fine too. So it's going to be that type of a thing. This one is going to use that pen. This one is going to be the challenges that myself as a land manager, law enforcement, and then also community members have seen that said, I don't want to go to Miracle anymore because of this reason, and this reason, or this reason. And it can expand into what are some of the ecological challenges when people choose to bring concrete into an environment that does not like concrete, especially river systems, and some of those. So I want it to be a broad type of a discussion because all of us are here because of this land that we love. And so I think that needs to be part of the discussion. You all will have the opportunity to also, challenges. Yeah,
I always called it up.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Positive impacts and then challenges to managing a complex hot spring. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Any questions before we start talking about these two items that we're going to write down? We're not going to take more than 15 minutes, and then we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about that. Hal.
Can you talk a little bit about the action plan draft which the Forest Service already has?
Okay.
Because that's really important with what we're talking about.
Okay, so remind me, so after we're done with this, before we talk about this, I want to talk about what Hal's talking about. We developed a draft action plan for hot springs on this district. Okay?
Right.
So put a pin in that. And if I forget,
Okay, we'll put that on the future calendar.
okay, I'm going to go around. Questions, Eva, anybody else?
I have to say, it still bugs me that nobody was held accountable for the destruction, and you have to hold the bed for that. It's not fair. It's not transparent, and this is the government.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Okay, so the question was, and you'll have to speak up loud, the question was, or not a question, but a comment, nobody was held accountable for what happened, and that the...
Somebody up the line knows what happened and endorsed it.
Yeah, okay, so I'll say this. Nobody knows if anybody was held accountable or not. That's not how the Forest Service operates. We don't put in the whatever
Well, I hope
of
they
like...
were.
Yeah, but what I can say the Forest Service is we're a learning organization. And what I can say with the Forest Service is we're here to work with the community to be able to figure out how to move forward, because me, as the district ranger here, and my risk associated with managing a landscape, but then also working with the people that are using it. I know that may not be the answer you're looking for, but okay, you're saying it's circular. I'm saying this was a discussion internally quite a bit.
Good. Glad
Quite
to
a
hear
bit.
that.
Can I add to
Okay,
that?
let me move around here, Hal. Any questions about where we're going? Thoughts? Hal.
I just want to say that I got a call from forestry law enforcement from Washington, D.C., and they did investigate what happened. I don't know what the results of their investigation were.
That's interesting to hear.
Okay, so what Hal just said, and remember, you're going to have to use like the yelling voice right now.
Okay.
And that is that Hal says that he was given a call by Washington, D.C., and that there was an investigation regarding law enforcement.
Good.
Okay.
You're
Yes, sir.
saying about as far as building itself, they're doing it without cement. How are you going to do that? They built dams. That didn't kill the fish and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I don't think what you're
How
saying.
about hatchery?
Okay, so once again, this will be my last reminder. You have to like, because there's people in the back. Can you hear what he just said? Okay.
How do you build cement tubs with no cement?
Okay. All right, so that's the question. Hey, everybody else uses concrete to build stuff. I will answer that. So if you have something to say, my suggestion, you don't have to do this, is to get up and then address everybody, so that, because it is loud.
The
So,
water's loud.
ah, yeah. This is, if you're frustrated, it's okay to yell in this environment. Okay. Anybody else?
What would
Thoughts?
be wrong with
Yes,
using
Jenny.
Mine's more about the pools. They need to be built individual, inflow, outflow, plumbing, small pools that are shallow, running, that you can have more capacity if you're not dumping the dirty water from one pool to the next.
Okay, so in that one, okay, good. Right. So he's capturing it. But that will be part of, so we'll talk about that more next, like the next steps.
Very stations there.
Oh, back here, yes.
Bridges and we use concrete. What's wrong with using the same grade concrete that they use
Okay.
in bridges?
So this has come up twice, and so we're going to put this.
It's on there.
Okay, cement issues.
Cement issues.
And I'm going to address, so before we get into this, is let's start, let's capture any positives. I'm surprised there's no positives. We're going to talk about this right now.
Anybody that see a challenge?
Okay, what other challenges?
Challenges. Crowding. Overcrowding.
Okay, so now let's, if you want to come up here and write something down and help us out. Okay?
We need to implement a visitor cap
Okay?
of how many people.
Overcrowding.
Yes, overcrowding, because it also it helps the ecosystem.
Not enough law enforcement, overcrowded, got it? Other challenges, Gary.
I think one thing we need to take into fact with rebuilding and the challenge is that even though this is a Forest Service land, water-related stuff does have to go through county and state as well. So we're building a pool technically in the eyes of the county and the state. So we have to adhere to those environmental laws,
Water
of the county,
quality.
water quality, all of that.
Wow,
Water
that's a good
quality.
one.
So like managing it, finance, and not like building it, but finance it for building and maintaining. Building and maintaining finance. Yes, ma'am.
Overnight use. How do we stop vehicles from parking?
Okay, so overnight, let's.
Overnight visitors?
Yeah, because that's not always a bad thing. I mean, we have campgrounds that people use at night. How could we? What's another way of saying that?
How do we have those things closed at night?
Okay.
So people can still walk in if we really want to walk in, but most people are lazy enough that they want to be right next to their fire.
Okay. So that's making the assumption, though, that nighttime use is
Forbidden.
Yeah.
or not a positive.
Yeah, it's not a positive.
Sunrise, sunset
Okay,
hours.
1 second. Let my note taker. Okay, we'll just keep it at night use.
Is there any reason why? I mean, if people are going to come here at night anyway, and we have a host at Hobo, if you can extend the camping over here, have maybe another host or have the host responsible,
So,
Put it
extending
down.
campground use.
and some trash cans maybe toward the tubs, not just the dumpsters over here for the lazy people, you know?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I would actually advocate that night use, when it's done responsibly, is a positive.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Responsible night use.
There you go.
So let's
Educating others, like having brochures maybe in the front or even in like other like visitor people centers might like that in different towns.
What does that fall under?
Like it would be under future planning.
That's a
Okay.
positive.
So that's future. So let's stay away from the future planning. Let's capture
Oh, there you have to
the
have
positive
education.
things about Miracle and
Positive.
the challenges.
Physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
And spiritual.
Spiritual.
Spiritual and physical healing.
And okay, I'm going to go around this way. Anything? Yes.
I bring commerce up here every time I come up to these hot springs. I dump at least $100 into this valley. Restaurants, stores.
Tourism. Tourism dollars.
$40 There you go.
yeah, more people.
Yeah, but at least
Okay.
they get some out of it. Right?
Positive or challenges?
Security, physical barriers, perhaps. I don't. Is that something?
So is that
we're
future?
considering? That's something that to be debated, but something for security purposes and people, unwanted people out after we said that.
Or a
we have
host that
boundary.
checks once an hour or something.
Challenges, security. So we got it right here. So you're all seeing this.
Okay.
Okay, I'm coming back around.
Oh, I know.
Okay, good.
Liability.
All right, so part of the challenges that I'm going to put is public nudity,
There you go.
public sex,
Oh my God. Really?
sexual assaults.
Oh my God.
These are real things that have happened here.
Wow.
Slow down very fast, but not that fast.
Public sex, assault,
Vandalism.
vandalism,
Yeah. Yeah, that's tagging
glass. That's a good one.
glass.
Cigarette butts.
Oh,
Cigarette butts.
Everywhere.
Trash.
trash. It's trash. Horrible.
Now we're getting into basics.
Okay, yeah. But I think we've captured it. So I'm gonna last 2 minutes. So you first.
I guess it would go under future planning, but
Okay,
you
wanna
know,
hold it then.
you want me to hold it?
Yep.
Sure.
Just don't forget that's easy to do now.
I know.
What was it? We'll try to remind you.
I was gonna say, you know how they have to get a campfire permit, you have to do this little campfire etiquette thing online. Maybe there should be a hot tub etiquette thing that people, at least maybe not require it, but something for people to look at, you know? Because some people don't know. The first time I came, I'm like, am I supposed to get in with other? What's the etiquette? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That would be future planning, is what he said.
yeah.
Put a pin in that one. We got glass over here.
Al, she mentioned that for this one it would have been etiquette, hot springs etiquette, so that when people come, they would like.
You know how the campfire permit thing online, like maybe something about, because a lot of people don't know. The first time I came, I didn't. Do I get in? Are we supposed to wait? You know what I mean? People that are new don't know.
They need some kind of here's welcome to Hot Springs. Here's what you need to know.
Right.
Okay, this is going to be my last week. Hal, do not go right now. And then we're going to move into the what we came here for discussion. Janet? Okay. Hal?
Future planning, how we're actually going to plan to rebuild the tubs.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So we're talking about challenges or positives. I know there's more positives in this.
I know, I have one.
Okay. This is the last opportunity for this before.
Just finding like-minded people.
Like-minded people.
And committed people that have done it.
So I think that's social interaction.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
With the volunteers of the community. That's beautiful. Alongside the window. I think that's good.
Okay. So I think maybe what you put historical and prehistorical use.
Also,
right?
stewardship and stewardship by the community.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
I grew up at Deep Creek Hot Springs, 3 miles away from it, and my parents got engaged there in the 70s, so that's always been kind of like a point of personal pride for me.
Yeah.
And I started exploring this area in 2016, and I really fell in love with the hot springs along the Kern and just how close we are to the National Scenic Trail system up here. So I've actually catered like my life. I've been working for the last 10 years to get out here and be as close to this canyon as possible. And I actually met his father at these hot springs. So it's
How would you put that in like 2 or 3 words?
This is, I'm hoping that the hot springs out here and the Kern River lifestyle can be his legacy.
Could be what?
Could be his legacy.
Oh, so how about we say this? Legacy recreation.
Tradition, legacy.
Good.
Place to get in the water where you won't drown, probably.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna get into the meat of it here. Everybody better be ready. Anything. Okay. So that was everybody's opportunity.
I got one. Fires. Okay. Campfires.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, I've seen some stuff burning down here.
Okay, so.
And graffiti.
Yeah, vandalism.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's good. What I want people to take a second is to look at some of this, reflect on it, because we're all in this. We have skin in the game. I know we could put 2 more pages in this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because when we were here in January, there isn't a whiteboard big enough that we've talked about stuff. I mean, we had veterans here, we had Native American folks here, all were saying there's benefits I had never heard of about Miracle Hot Springs. So realize that this is one of the drivers. This is where we want to be, but we have to be able to talk about this before we can do this. All right. All right, so take 1 minute, because then we're going to pick up the pace and talk about this. Yes, so basically the comment was Miracle's aptly named because, and one thing we didn't put on this is because of accessibility. Unlike Remington, Miracle is just 100 yards on not a small road. I think that's one of the attractions, why people feel it. And if you're somebody that has really bad knees, you're not going to be able to get down to Remington where you could get to Miracle.
One of the positives is the ease for us to do the cleaning with a very, great equipment, the power sprayers. That makes that a real big positive for anybody to be able to enjoy them, is to be able to drain them and clean them. So it's easy to get the equipment down there.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick, just short break, like 2 minutes. If people want to look at some of these, and like I said, it's just because now I want to do a physical transition into people's brains about how we start talking about what I have come to terms with what I would consider as a short-term plan. I need help with the long-term plan. Okay? All right. Short break. Talk it up with your friends. Do some social type of good intermission. I don't know if people remember back 30 years ago, you used to go to the matinee or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to have like an intermission.
Flip the lights.
You could get popcorn and go to the bathroom. Anymore, you got to sit through the whole thing and hold it. But since we're talking about Miracle, we thought we'd throw back. So. Okay, so the next part of it, and this is where I really want some good interaction. And remember, I'm basically, I don't have a script I'm following of how to do this. I am going off, you all are basically running the meeting. I'm only facilitating then and adding points from the Forest Service perspective. So this is your opportunity. So we've written down some of the challenges. As we go through items about what the future, remember these, because this will play a part. These two are now connected right here, because this is why we want this to happen. And don't forget about some of this. Okay. All right. So
We could take that page and tear it up.
Action plan draft.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Why don't you, so let me tell everybody what Hal's talking about, and then Hal, I want you to tell me what you got out of that document. Okay. Wait a second. Not yet. So what Hal is talking about is, so we developed a district hot springs management plan. Now, the reason we did that is because, remember, this landscape we're sitting on here belongs to all of us. My job is just to manage it. It does not belong to me. I just get paid to manage it regarding our rules, regulation, and policy that exists out there, but while interacting with user groups. So it doesn't matter if it's an OHV trail, an equestrian trail, Lake Isabella, rafting the Kern River, or hot springs on federal land. There are rules associated with all of that stuff, what you can do. Here's a big one. You simply cannot build a tree house to live in on federal land. Even though you are a U.S. citizen. Federal land isn't your personal property to use however you see fit. It belongs to everybody. There may be 5 people that say, we love tree houses. But there are 5 people that say, we do not want tree houses. My job is to listen to all of those voices, follow rules and regulations, and then be able to act on that and make a decision. Okay? I want to make that clear because it will tie into and dovetail when it comes to building tubs, building facilities. It's not as simple as I can just do whatever I want and bring a 10-yard dump concrete load and do whatever I want because I think we need to do it, because I think all these things are more important than all of these things. That's a really important thing to know. It belongs to everybody, not one person.
I have a question, but at the end of the day, there is going to be a tub with water in it.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Today?
No.
So
in the future.
Yes.
Within this timeline of 1 year, we have a tub with water in it, and that's what we're working towards.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
What that looks like is yet to be determined.
Okay.
But I even have an answer for that today. If people wanted to have a tub today, there's an opportunity, and I will be crystal clear of what that looks like.
Okay.
But it will not look like is everybody running to the store and buying a bunch of concrete and coming here at the end of the day and building something. Because here is my Al Watson being real, is I had interactions with several of you all, and people built tubs, and I said, please do not build more tubs. And they said, I'm going to do what I want. And they built more tubs, and they built more tubs, and they built more tubs. And it became unmanageable. This is like what my daughter says, my dad real face. This is what pushed me into a corner. Let's not get into a corner. Okay. All right. So, the management plan is, go for it.
Okay, well, the management plan I thought was put together really good. You took into account a lot of input that we gave you over the years, and I want to just read the introduction and the strategies and goals. It's not very long, so you got an idea of what this is about. The purpose of this action plan is to provide a course of action to continue to protect, manage, and maintain the hot springs' natural resources. This plan will provide a basic structure for managing increased use of the area and maintain the outstanding, remarkable values of the historical site. Over the years, resource damage from recreational activity has escalated as the Forest Service does not currently limit the number of visitors that are allowed to be at the hot springs. This has caused overcrowding and congested parking lots, with thousands of visitors increasing yearly. This has resulted in high levels of resource damage. Impacts include the loss of reptilian habitat, human waste, vegetation damage, littering, large amounts of graffiti, poor sanitation practices, and reoccurring illegal camping. Educating the public about Leave No Trace is essential, but there is also an issue with visitors choosing to vandalize and leave trash behind carelessly. The popularity of these locations has increased with the support of several publicity articles and the use of social media. Other social platforms have also been a large reason for the increased amount of traffic at both hot springs locations. The hot springs are convenient to access since they are located right off the road, which invites more traffic. Forest Service and partners have been working together to restore and maintain Miracle and Remington hot springs. With increased visitor use comes many management challenges that have been documented as a high level of concern. In response, the Kern River Ranger District has developed this action plan to address the Forest Service and public concerns over the resource degradation and recreational impacts. Goals. Number one goal, identify and develop a hot springs action plan to address ongoing issues involving resource damage and public safety. Goal 2, maximize efforts on education, outreach, and volunteer organization to address primary concerns that result from the popularity of the hot springs. Goal 3, encourage users to follow code of federal regulations to address concerns that have been expressed regarding use of these recreational sites. Goal 4, provide amenities to help alleviate issues with litter and human waste. Strategies. Develop a set of guidelines on the management of the hot springs, addressing issues with resource damage and aiming to manage as a family-friendly environment. Strategy 2. Complete a more effective and organized volunteer agreement with additional roles and responsibilities to advise the Forest Service. Strategy 3. Apply rules and regulations affecting recreational use and pursue an effective law enforcement program. Strategy 4. Monitor levels of use to measure performance of plan implementation. So that's the gist of this. We're going to put this action plan on Facebook over the weekend so you can all read it. All right, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Oh. So basically, I mean, it's
dogs on leash.
you know, we wouldn't have created an action plan if we weren't serious about having something here.
All right.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, so let's now talk. Well, you know what I want to do first is talk about short term, because what we're here is to determine a long term type of thing. What the allowable use, so right now it's not under a closure order. people can go in there right now. What that looks like though is you can build a tub now, but only with the natural environment features that are there. What that looks like is not with concrete. It's so, I mean, you can't do it today because it's underwater. It's going to be underwater for the next month. But if there are rocks and stuff, it is fine for you to build with material that is there, not concrete, natural material. Build it, and if you want to put sand and stuff so that it creates the pool naturally, that is fine. You can do that today. Well, it's underwater. You know what I mean. If it wasn't underwater, you could do that today.
Sandbag.
Sandbags?
I'm not there yet. So I'm going to be crystal clear. It's just natural stuff. Okay? That may not be what everybody wants at the end of the day, but we're talking, this is the short term until we get to a long term. But this is so people can use it. There's a variety of reasons of why I'm saying this. But again, once the Kern River goes down, if people want to build a tub with natural features that are there, rocks that they can collect, sand, natural sand that's there, that is perfectly acceptable. Okay? No. So I'll say it one more time. Okay? The short term, no burlap bags, no sandbags, no concrete, no visqueen, only natural items for the short term starting today. As we get further along, a month from now, we're going to define what that looks like. And that's what I need help with because of this. Under natural, there's not going to be 100 people that are there.
No.
It'll be a far more manageable crowd, and there's a number of other things because that's what was really hammering us, is because more and more and more and more people, and then it became unmanageable. Right. Because and then rightly so, well, not rightly so, and then people started building more tubs because their tub was taken. Okay. So before I stop, any other questions about short term?
Yes.
Go.
Timeline on short term.
Until we get to that next, what past that looks like.
And
we're gonna.
And so is that a 5-year term?
No.
6-month term? At the end of the year this term?
Okay, that's fair. Let's say tentatively that's this year.
Okay.
This year. January 24,
Okay.
let's transition into that next conversation of what miracle looks like. And the only reason I'm saying that, it gives me leeway. I wanted to have this meeting in February. I wasn't able to because, I see your I wasn't able to because a lot of, and so people have probably been tracking all the damage, the material around the lake. My time has been diverted with more response to flood history. And not because I didn't want to meet with you. I want that to be clear.
January of next year, is that what you're saying?
January of next year, I hope to move into what we agree on makes sense for Miracle.
Another question, based on your map, when does the river go down until the spring's going to show it?
Okay, I'm doing some.
You have that map. You know it.
So this river, so it's about 6,000 CFS now.
It has to be under Janet.
Yeah.
It has to be under what?
In mid-May, it's going to be 10,000 CFS.
Okay. And then
it will release 10,000 CFS until the dam is not under threat. Because that spillway that's brand new.
And it's 422%. Right?
Yes, they are trying to let it out now.
So you're thinking August?
I'm not thinking that far. I'm
July.
thinking July.
Because I've seen it go into July.
I would say, as a guess, okay, so remember, I am not the water master. I would say July it should start dropping.
The last said it should out
What year?
little
What day?
lower,
July something.
July 16,
Yeah.
17.
Okay.
I was thinking August.
That's
Okay,
fine.
so let's
It
say
is
August, so nobody is upset.
Well,
You say people can come in and they can go in there now.
Yes. where are they going to park? This lot is the only parking, legal parking that you can do.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't park over at Hobo unless you're camping. Okay, that's a good point.
So if we're allowed to go in there now, where are we going to park legally? Exactly.
Oh, that's a big question.
Okay. Good question. Yes.
Is there any reason why we can't put like a portage on or trash cans closer down that way? Because they're pretty far, and I would think that attributes to a lot of the trash and people taking a dump, you know, on the trail. And
So,
You don't want trash cans at the springs.
yeah.
well, I realize
People want in, leave their trash there.
I realize
I
that.
have a
Yeah.
question. I have an answer. So the question was, can we put some of the porta potties and trash cans closer to the springs instead of up here? So a lot of it. So remember, the Forest Service, Thomas Refuse, and they have a lot to say, because if you put it down there and then it's blocked in by traffic, guess what happens? It doesn't get empty.
Could we make like a no parking by it type deal?
I love the positivity. Someone that's been on for 10 years, when you are influxed by 10,000 people, doesn't matter. There's not enough law enforcement to enforce it.
I know, but just like in cities and stuff, you know, there's certain places you can't park because of the same type of issues. You know what I mean?
You're going to have to trust me on this. If you put those closer,
You
they
have
will
to
be
control
blocked.
it once
Okay.
They will be blocked. People will just park there.
Oh, big time. Well, they
Yeah.
can't be open or closed.
So I don't know that now because I have a staff and I have to get agreement with them because they're the ones who come out.
I can completely understand why they might want to go down.
Okay, so good question. I love it. All right. How?
Hot Springs Angels is going through some changes. Dave's going to be our new leader, and we put together a website, miraclehotsprings.org. I recommend everybody get on there. In the short term, while the river's underwater, we would like a little direction from you if, in fact, Hot Springs Angels is going to be the volunteer group taking care of Miracle Hot Springs, and we would actually like to start making an action plan ourselves for putting volunteers together to rebuild the tubs, working with the Forest Service.
Okay. This is what I can tell you. So Hal is saying that one Dave is going to be the one that's going to be leading up Hot Springs Angels.
Right.
And I don't know, did everybody hear him, or am I just repeating?
I heard him.
Okay. Okay.
So is it going to
Okay.
be is it going to be called that now?
So yes.
the Miracle.
What?
Yes, we will enter into another agreement, but it will only be with the condition for now of maintaining the natural.
Okay, so there is an agreement in place then?
Well, we will. We'll re-up it. But it, okay?
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can come in and talk to you some more about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we'll enter into another agreement that basically will stipulate everything I just said.
Because we would like to actually become a nonprofit and be able to take in funds and maybe be the concessionaire that takes care of Miracle Hot Springs in the future.
Okay. All right. I like it. So we're going to transition to that one. So you've got all the ideas.
I thought about it for years.
Probably last night.
Huh?
Probably last night. Okay. And so the other point that's important is that there is a website, so everybody knows about the website.
MiracleHotSprings.org.
Okay.
So are you still going to be called the Hot Springs Angels, or is it going to be called
It's going to be the Miracle Hot Springs Conservancy, and Hot Springs Angels are going to be an arm, a volunteer arm.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I want to hear a couple of ideas that take into account the positives, but as also as well as the challenges. And here's an example. Miracle Hot Springs being a concessionaire, being run by a concessionaire. So, yes. There's some C's, Okay, we got it. Okay. All right. So, because we've talked about this one before, that means a fee, though. A fee. It'll be, so, So if you have a concessionaire, it's a business. And for them to be able to manage it, they need to charge people.
Well, they gotta pay for a lot of
All right, I love this.
Anyway, locals can get like, you know, a freebie thing or yeah.
No, when you come and help and clean up, you get a free.
Because that is an idea that's been floated. Is if you're local, you buy a year pass for like $50.
That'd be awesome.
But
Yeah.
if you're using it for one day, you pay $5. And Janet says that double the fee for children. Oh my goodness.
Triple the fee for that leaving garbage. Yeah, find those people. Put cameras no alcohol. No alcohol, that's a good point. No bottles. No glass.
Okay, everybody, before we move on from, I know everybody wants to, I'm trying to keep the side conversation so we can hear. Concessionaire is one idea. That's not something that's going to happen in 2-3 months. I'm going to give you the real thing, what this looks like. I got you. Is that has to be a perspective. So you say, hey, who wants to manage a hot springs? And then people write it, and then our regional office looks at it because we don't want to be like, oh, well, you got it, and your Al's friend is the way you got it. So all that stuff is taken out. But that's a long-term strategy. Just letting people know. Any ideas, thoughts? Yes. We've got our person of the hour. I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, I knew you were. I knew it.
I saw him at Vaughn's. I said, you got to get down here.
Okay, so concessionaire. Now let's look at.
Public-private partnership.
And I got yours too. I'm going to come back.
Cougar Hot Springs in Oregon is about the same distance of parking as ours are here to the hot springs, and they have a concessionaire that works on Forest Service land with River Service. They sit in a little hut all day. They take a charge for like a satellite thing on giving you with your credit card, and they come down about every hour and just do a visual sweep to make sure there's no glass, no smoking, and they kick people out. Good idea.
Okay.
And all they have is radio.
No, she's saying, so what she just mentioned is Cougar Hot Springs up in Oregon. They have a concessionaire on Forest Service that utilizes this, and they make sure that people are following the rules, like no glass or whatever, and they also charge the fee, and then they go down there every hour, do a look, did you pay? Nope, you're out.
I think that's great.
You got glass, you're out.
I see several places around here that are
Okay, so that works. It just takes a while. So I have to get to one thing, time limits. So,
Time limits.
okay, so I'm thinking though, so one of the concerns is numbers of people and how long they're in there.
Yes.
A concessionaire would be able to manage that because that's what they pay. I mean, they're like, you get 2 hours. You can't go down there and sleep or,
Yeah, and it's got a time
and look, there's 30 people, sorry, you have to wait.
Is it going to be
Well, no.
first come, first serve, or can you make reservations online like
Okay,
campsites
I love the
and
idea
stuff?
that we're just embracing this concessionaire, but that's only one idea. But yes, it would be up to them. It's the business.
Okay.
They could say you can be in there 2 hours, or you.
I just know if it was you show up and you wait, or you book ahead of time.
And have the federal government leave the forest. If you live here, you can stay.
Wait.
But we take the badge off.
Wow, there was like clapping for that. I felt a little like.
Is that an idea?
That is an idea. Okay, so that's enough for concessionaire. I'm going to move on to the next one. Any ideas that people have? I'm going to get to you, Hal, but you haven't said anything. So, did you have? Or are you cheering like get rid of the federal government?
I was dumbfounded he said that, so I thought it was hilarious.
Okay, I'm not. Yes.
Yes, I would like to suggest if they're going to have like a day use area for picnicking, so they discourage people from bringing their food down there and bringing their food into the tubs.
Tables would be
That's
nice.
in the action plan.
Okay.
That would also discourage ice chests going down there.
Okay.
And other things.
So let me throw out something here, and that is concessionaire is one idea. They would manage that whole thing, whether it's glass or bringing your tacos or any of that. So what if it's not a concessionaire? What are our options for Miracle being open beyond a natural type of feature? So let's talk about. Then I want to talk about challenges like that to managing something. Go.
possible of having an on-site host.
Yes.
Okay. And so like we do at Hobo Camp.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
I think,
And
yes.
so it would be a volunteer, free to get in there. Okay. So this is our other idea. A Forest Service run, but with a volunteer host.
Donnie's like, I'll volunteer.
No, okay, so the question was, so this is important, is hosts within the Forest Service are not paid, they're volunteers. Now they get their water for free, their power for free, they get
Stay here.
some stipends for, if it depends, like gas to go to town or something like that. There's different scenarios. But basically they're not paid. What that means is if you have confrontational people, can you really expect them to engage when they're volunteers?
Exactly.
Okay? All right, but I want to go on this theme of having a host, a volunteer host, here at Miracle. Yes.
So since we're talking about the safety and law enforcement, I have two things. I just thought maybe we could strive to try and get cell phone service here. It'd be a lot safer if we had a camp host or anybody here, so we could get a hold of law enforcement in an emergency.
Okay. So,
Phone service.
yeah, so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that will not be high on the priority list right now.
Okay, my other suggestion would be, and I talked to her brother Mike Dobbs about this last night considerably, and it has to do with population control. And he says, unless you control the amount of people coming in here and maybe charge them even $1, put colored bands on their arms. And
For this concessionaire, though, I can't
Right.
see you start charging.
yeah, but if we had a camp host, they could do something like that. Or how about another idea that I've given to you before, and that's to have like a permit system like you do on the upper current.
At Gold Ledge, at Old Gold Ledge.
Right, right.
Okay, so let me
Could
explain
that be workable?
So the way that works is some of our high use areas, to minimize the number of people, that basically you have to put your name in a hat and say, I want to go to Miracle, and on these weekends or whatever. And then you have to match that person with their license plate. If you do not, if you're a person within, you get a ticket. That is a lot of work for my staff. That is a ridiculous amount of work for my staff.
All right, let's have him out.
He says yes. I say no. So I like the idea, but it works good for Old Gold Ledge when there's 5 camp spots. It does not work good here when I can quadruple that number.
I think maybe we should put our heads together in the next few months moving forward, and see if we can figure out between our volunteer group, Miracle Hot Springs Conservancy, and the Forest Service, if we can figure out a way to minimize the amount of people that come.
Here's an idea that came out. Gate is closed on the weekends, but open in weekdays.
That would slow it down.
That would slow it down.
Really slow it down.
It wouldn't. It'd be closed. The hot springs would be closed on the weekends, open on the weekdays.
Well, I know in the action plan you do have some suggestions in there to minimize the impact.
But then we lose our quiet weekdays. That's why I come on the weekdays.
So that's, and this isn't my idea, it's just an idea that you guys came up with, because our use here is on the weekends. That's when we get used during the weekdays, but the heavy use is on the weekends.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe limit the number of the people on the weekends.
The gate for the day use area, and it's the hot springs are part of that day use area.
Yes, the hot springs is part of the day use area. Okay. Yeah, this is Miracle day use area, and that's why it's a day use area. It's not overnight, and why it was becoming problematic. I don't have a staff that can come down here every day to make sure people aren't using it at night.
How hard would it be to restore the little building that is there and have a presence of one of you people there during the daytime?
Okay.
Just so if something happens, we have somebody to go to and say we're having a problem.
Yeah.
Have backup.
Yeah. Dave, what's happening?
I've got them all up there.
Dave, you have utilizing the new building, the building over here for
Yeah, because they're close enough yet far enough away.
Right.
That's your office. For future options?
You're on top of it.
So that actually was a ranger station years ago. It was that. And
Seems
it
like
was
it needs
moved
to be
here
redone.
from Lake Isabella. Like when Bob Powers was here.
Like, y'all are building that new ranger station in Lake Isabella,
Okay,
right?
I'm doing a terrible job of facilitating right now, so I'm going to start again. Yes, you've got something.
Well, just that we've been talking about the criteria for visitors and how they should have a fee, and it's only good for so long in their hand stamped, and they need to leave afterwards. And if they don't,
That's if we have a concessionaire.
if we have, well, that's even with see, they're supposed to be self-managing, but people don't.
That's right.
So that's where with the volunteers, there'll be public-private partnership. We were talking about maybe that they can train people to go around and like Boy Scout troops, whatever it takes, all different kinds of groups. That are, here's what you need to do, here's the steps, YouTube video, whatever it takes.
Okay, so I'll get to you. So I just
Education, outreach, and training for people
I
to
know.
what to do.
So this is an important part because people are very rightly so saying we need to charge people. It needs to be a ban. It needs to be this. It needs to be that. That can only happen with this.
I know.
It can only happen. So I love the idea of charging people and all that because it does make sense. I just want to flesh out anything else, how we can do anything that's not charging people.
Okay.
And I'm going to go this way. So get ready over here.
Ooh.
Okay, so that would be a concession run right there, correct?
That could be. Right now it's Forest Service.
Right now it's Forest Service. Now, that being said, can that be all year long? Or it has to be a concession?
It is all year long.
Okay, run by the Forest Service.
That can't practice.
So couldn't we do that with the way in which they're doing it over there now? You have to sign up. Because I know everybody that might come in, if they haven't put in their online for reservation, they can't stay. So how about that being here?
Oh, so you're saying if you stay at Hobo, you get a free ticket to go to Miracle?
Not necessarily, but if you had a separate, which is us, the hot spring, has a reservation for the hot spring, so that we don't have 15, 20 people in one group come in all at one time. Caravan of 4 or 5.
So it's only open to the people that can.
But it always comes down to enforcement. Always. Always.
Okay, that's an idea. It's worth capturing. But, okay.
Because I know every time somebody comes in, they say, I'm sorry, do you have a reservation? No,
Still
we
do.
don't. Okay, well, you have to go to www. and apply for get your reservation.
Yeah, okay.
So same thing here.
Okay, so let's capture that.
And we already know.
So it's really the same idea because it's forest run close.
Well, we would know how many people can be here comfortably.
Yeah.
By the number of tubs that we
Okay, so that's definitely a good idea. Like was mentioned, it's the enforcement part. Who all here is going to run down there? You're going to go and you're going to kick people out? I love it. I love the enthusiasm, but that's not realistic. But it is an idea. Okay, I'm coming around. Remember, we're not talking about fees.
Reservation. I think restricting the time, the days, it's open, like you said.
How do I do that?
Even though it's not everyone's not excited about that, right? You know, it's closed on the weekend. That's nuts.
Who's going to tell people your time's up?
It's the enforcement. Always.
It'd be a closed gate.
Tell people it's
So
always
someone's going to close the gate.
I'll do
You
it.
have,
I'll do it.
And I'm not trying to. So sorry, I was being a little bit. It's an idea. We're talking about ideas, but what I'm saying to you, that requires the staff to be here 24 hours a day to do that.
But then you get into all kinds of civil problems and suits and accidents and maybe even murders. That's what he's trying to point out to everyone. He's trying to allow you all to come to the same conclusion. He's trying to teach everyone. This is really good.
Who's going to pay for that?
Where we get the money.
It could be like a nonprofit. Talk to Gary and Annie about
Letting
that.
you guys think you have a voice. Like,
One of the ideas is work with the nonprofit and hire private security here.
I know.
But I don't. There could be some logistics. Remember, hiring private on federal land isn't necessarily something that can just be done.
Or
They used to charge $5 in the little stores right here. Maybe this could be built by some of their ideas or how they kept it, you know.
Okay.
But it never seemed to be too many phones back
Okay,
then.
Dave. So get ready over here. because I'm coming to you from private security, working with a nonprofit for private security. Now, like, I'm not saying this, remember, we're just spitballing ideas.
Brainstorming. I'm with her on that.
She's with her. Yes.
So how I was saying online, like how you guys do the campfire permits, you got to do that little 3-minute etiquette quiz, you know. So that's an idea online, but aren't you guys getting like a fancy new ranger station across from Taco Bell in town soon? Is it one being built
It's a
there?
visitor center.
All right, visitor center. Well, even better.
Beautiful.
Well, what if you had like something like that, like how you go to the DMV and got to take your little thing? Okay, you got to jump on this little thing, take a little etiquette, and then you get a little pass, like saying you know what you're supposed to do when you come here, not just rolling in here not knowing what to do.
So that idea would be similar. What Hal was saying is, you do it. You have a date. You do your little 3-minute thing. You have a date. You can be here on May 4th.
It could be that, or at least just like checking in before you come here, not paying anything or anything, but just being so you know the rules, so you're accountable.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, coming back though. Yes. Anything?
Good.
Mine was, it goes back, but it was on the communications thing. I did a thing with the Forest Service one time where I volunteered as a campground host. They were wondering if an area could be turned in to a paid site, like the other site. It wasn't as big as this, mind you, but they provided me with a radio in case there were any problems. Because up in Kings Canyon, here you got to drive, that way for a few minutes. In Kings Canyon, you got to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I was provided with a radio. Now, you talk about communications down here, and there has been and could be a real need for help right now. A radio. Now, I know you got a lot of positions that aren't staffed, which means you probably got a lot of radios in. So if you had somebody that was actually, doing this out here, I want to give a radio to just anybody because they'll be telling you what color the bird is they just saw. Some etiquette is going to have to be enforced on that.
Okay. So
but a radio is a real idea.
Okay, so basically, if we do have a host, they need to have communication for safety.
Communications, because anything happens here, man, it's going to take you a while.
Yes.
I was an hour late. I'm sorry. I missed a lot.
We got an hour late person in the
I'm so
back.
sorry. No, I believe in the host.
Shame.
I think wristbands for time, like how whatever the allotted time, we're paying a fee to come in, keeps the trash out. Times are different colors on your wristband. That way the host can walk around. Oh, your time is up. You have a blue wristband. You know what I mean? And then you could even pay again to come back in if it's not overcrowded.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep catching on that because I feel that that's the best.
So hey, we keep coming. I am coming back. Yes.
So are we talking about just short term right now?
No, we're talking about.
Okay. So then I wanted to mention when we decide to start building again, I think we should build rails and put things on the ground that help being like slip resistant and stuff like that, so we can prevent falls again.
Okay.
From happening.
This is in the future planning. Well, if we
I think
build.
regardless, we should have them, even if we're just doing the short term right
Okay.
now with the rocks and everything. Rails should be a necessity.
Elevators.
Rails.
Okay, so here's my world. When I start building facilities for safety, I'm now accepting liability.
Right, there you go.
So
Insurance.
if that step isn't to whatever standard it is, and it's this much off, and you trip on it, now I'm liable for you tripping on it. Now, if it's just a natural landscape and you trip, I'm not liable. It's a natural landscape. So I'm not saying no. I'm just introducing you to my world. Would that be for users or for the host? Okay. So once again, the communication, this is actually like the fourth time this has come up, is we need communication here, but for the host in case there's an emergency. Loud and clear. For the audio. Thank you for coming back.
Oh yeah. Hi everybody.
Hi, Willie.
Taking people out of the water and just in the general areas. But I want to just emphasize again, it's still a great need in the springs to be there. I just want to say that.
Okay.
It's even nap time too.
Yes, please. So remember, we're talking about the camp host because that's one solution. So concessionaire, number one, having a camp host with under Forest Service free. Where would they stay? Where would this camp host stay? Because remember, if you're going to encourage someone to be here, there's got to be some sort of perk for them.
A yurt.
Little tiny home.
Just a yurt.
I'll watch the ranger
So
station.
that's an idea. Is, picking up that ranger station. That's a possibility.
I like that.
Because we don't have any hookups, so typically a volunteer would come here, plug into their septic system, water, and all that power. But that's a good point. Is if you're going to have a host, they have to have a place to stay. Okay. All right, I'm coming back around. Cindy.
I'd like to say something. There's been so many times that everybody has said a band, 2 hours, somebody check. We all know that. We said quite a bit, but I think we have a meeting on it. We need to do each day where the commissions that we arrange together and Hal talk to her brother. And I think we should start there. They've already been there, done that. So when we get to your meeting, and if you do get into that, I'm not saying that you're going to get there. Start there because it was really good idea. They did actually, Pauline actually did work and gave the
Uh-oh.
I'm suing. Make your I can't hear you.
And then
You guys are on notice.
just start and see pros and cons of where you were, and let's go from there.
I can barely hear you.
All right, so I think that's important, but my rationale is I want to flesh out all these ideas because someone could have this amazing idea. So what I've just heard, it is possible to have a host, a free area with a host, you have a band, all that, to be able to manage numbers and time.
Right.
It just takes the right host too.
You got to find the right person.
Janet said she would host. Okay, so we're talking about Forest Service free with a host. And then I want to, if anybody else has any other, we kept moving. Like, okay, that would be great if someone had a question here and then they ran over here and they had another question. All right, go ahead.
All right, so if we have a host and we don't want to overload them with having to come scroll down every hour and you have the wrong wristband and so forth, what if we just said, let's say 200 users is the maximum per day, right? Whatever the load is. I'm just picking a number. Okay? So 8 o'clock in the morning, the host has 200 wristbands. 8 o'clock in the morning, people show up, get a wristband. When the wristbands are gone, they're gone for the day. Okay? And then you've got a wristband, you can go, you can use the tubs, you can go have lunch, come back. As long as you got the wristband for the day, you're good. That was
The problem with that is there will be 30 people show up in one family and take over the tubs.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So it's labor intensive. So one, someone to hand out all the wristbands.
Right.
2
Time limit on be different.
is who's going to enforce if I'm going down there, I don't have a wristband. You going to kick me out?
Well,
Sure will.
Better be careful. Better be careful though. We're talking about conflict now.
Yeah.
And very few people here have the training to deal with that.
We'll get the Legion riders involved here. They're all veterans of law enforcement.
Bear spray.
so you go down, you say, I'm sorry, sir, you need to wristbands down here. And the guy says, get the Legion or whatever. You're like, I'm not going to deal with you. I'm going to get on my radio and call it.
The host.
And the host will say this. Yes. It's like, I'm not going to engage with you, but it's like, I have a radio and I push the button. Most people will and if they got everyone's got the wristband and they don't, they know they're not in the right.
Here's an Al-ism. The 90-10 rule.
Yes.
90% of the people will follow the rules.
Right.
10% will not. That's fine if you've got 10 people. But if you have 1,000 people, that's 100 people that you're going to have to deal with in a way that's
Yeah,
difficult.
I know. We're starting with the easy things first,
Okay,
and then
you're right. I love the idea. So I'm not saying I love the idea. I'll retract that. But it is an idea. But it is an idea.
It's simple. That sounds, rather than trying to like meter it out by like reservations.
And we may try this
and,
because we're capturing all this, and we may try one of these things. And then we're going to get together and we're like, it was a hot mess. And then we're going to have to go back and try something else.
And you could limit it to 5 per party or something like that. So someone doesn't come in and say,
Okay.
I want 100 wristbands.
So, Dave, can you capture that? So this keeps coming up, the wristband or something to limit use.
Yeah.
Okay. First and then second.
So last meeting you had Ruby here and she was talking about, some science with water flow and talking about we could only have a small tub and that because of the amount of gallons that come through or whatever. What is the future looking like with this? You said there will be a tub. Do you think once they're actually constructed properly, is there going to be more than one tub, or is it a giant tub, or is it a little tub, or?
Okay, so basically you're talking about the hydraulics of it. Every hot springs has a certain amount of water that comes out, and to be a way that's sort of sanitary is you need water to come in and then also exit the system as opposed to come in.
Flow through.
What's it called?
Flow through.
Okay, the flow through. I know that I've got two experts here regarding this. So does that capture that? Hang on, Hal. So with that being said, if we were to go down a path where we create more permanent tubs and not the ones that I have said you can build, which is just natural, there will have to be some science put into it of the volume that those based upon the income.
And you don't know what that looks like
I don't know
yet?
what that is off the top of my head. Al.
Okay, I talked to Mike Dobbs about this last night, and he told me back when they had the hotel and everything, they had some pumps at the top of the hill, and they were able to pump enough water out to supply all their needs, and they had plumbing to individual tubs where they could have the flow through. And he also said when the Forest Service first destroyed the hot springs, that they cemented in the top of where all those pumps were. And he said that cement could be taken out and the flow could be quadrupled very easily.
Wow.
So I think that's something that we should think about, in the future.
Okay.
So you can't expect someone to be there 24/7. No. So you're going to have some other volunteers who come in and, give a break to the others.
All right, so that's one of the challenges of having a host. Is they're not there 24/7. You can't expect them to be managing an area 24/7. So final comments about a host, Forest Service, free, but a host that's managing this. And then we'll go off, and then maybe there's some other ideas.
I was just going to say the nonprofit model working with the Forest Service where they are able to solicit funds for specific projects and grants opportunities. Whereas I know like Homeboy Industries in Los Angeles, they are saving youth from the streets, and then these kids need jobs, but they might be interested in wildlife management. They could come here, do some kind of service operation where they are enforcing the rules.
workshop or some
Well, they go through training,
program.
and this is all through the nonprofit in collaboration with your rules and regulations, saying, okay, we're going to be the ones on the ground, and we're going to be like the Boy Scouts. First we'll be nice, and then we'll call Smokey the Bear if necessary.
Okay.
But we want to train these people to be assertive but kind and get the right flow going. That's a possibility. There's something about the nonprofit model where you can be flexible and work collaboratively. I've seen it in my work in growing community gardens in LA County. It's possible, but it takes a lot of communication and negotiation and understanding.
Okay. Okay, final call. So thanks for that. So that I would tier that underneath the host, but maybe partnering with the nonprofit.
That would also maybe like a field work opportunity for you guys. You guys can put somebody out here that's newer, a little bit more fresh on, and use that as a field work opportunity for you guys to
Field work for Forest Service.
For Forest Service, yeah.
Okay.
It's like youth at risk have to come out and work with you under like a
Okay, so be thinking about other ideas.
Thanks. Bottom line is, once it does open up in a way in which the word gets out, the bottom line is it's going to get overcrowded immediately, if not sooner. The only way we're going to be able to control devastation and some of these problems that exist on this list is to probably have somebody there that's going to probably close the gate. And like I mentioned, if there's these guys right here, they work well with you guys, and if there's a reservation, then of course your time is today. Let's enjoy it. And during this time, we'd have to figure out as a group, as we have, not as successfully as we should have by far, and that's determine how many people can fit in an area, depending on if there's one pool, two pools, or how many finally we get to a point in which it's the limit. But at one pool, there's 7 people. So in reality, you're not going to let more than 7 people in until they leave.
Once again, who's going to manage people that want to just come in because they want to come in?
Why not just make these all? There you go.
Well, I'm saying I don't have capacity.
It'll be that trail that comes from the top over there down, unless you put rocks across there to limit. It'll be the gate closed.
Or just have campsites here, and whoever's camping here and at Hobo gets to go in.
And I get it. I do. I wish I could say I had unlimited staff that could do this, but I don't.
Know that there's going to be people down there, flat out, without whatever you come up with.
There are people that will push their way.
Yeah, there's going to be. So let's say 10% of them. You can't put that in your mind, or you'll have a problem. And there's such a thing as self-regulate. So once this goes into place, every year you'll see it better and better. Long term, you're going to start out with people who don't give a crap about an armband. Then you're going to have the people that say, I'm not going to go up there, it's too crowded. It'll start to self-regulate. You'll have all that, but you need to address it all now. This is going to take a few years.
I think reevaluate it once a year too and see how it's working.
Yeah. Okay, we got 15 minutes left.
As far as the host,
So multiple. Okay, so a minimum of 2 hosts. You're a host. How easy do you think that there's a line of people trying to just come into the Forest Service to be a host?
Surprising.
Great idea. But the reality is we have a hard time keeping staff hosts.
Oh.
I could ask for 2, I could get 0. What's the solution? Close it?
Bottom line
If you didn't have kids, you and I would be all about doing it.
Okay, so any comments about the host? Okay, let's go for the idea.
One comment. Okay. That we could advertise for hosts through our different social media platforms and people that are interested in the hot springs.
I think a
We
lot
could
of
amp
people
up
be
the
into
host.
it.
All right, that's the host. Now let's move in. I only wanted to walk away with this with 3 ideas that we could, serious ideas. Number 3, who has the answer to managing Miracle long term? We've got concessionaires 1. We've got Forest Service run, no fee, but hosts that are managing numbers and time as well as best as they can, the rules. No glass, public sex, stuff like that. Etiquette. Hot springs etiquette. Perfect. Who's got the winning idea? Yes.
Well, I think our group, Miracle Hot Springs Conservancy and the Hot Springs Angels, will be like a regular volunteer group once we start working with you again. But our goal would be to become a nonprofit as soon as possible and work with Gary with the Conservancy and solicit donations and become that group that could become the concessionaire, a local group of local control.
So is that a fee or is it still free?
It depends on how we work it out. If we can work it out that it can be free and we can control the amount of people that come here, then it can be free. But we may have to have a fee in the future.
Okay. So instead of Forest Service running the whole host program, the idea is that we have one of our nonprofits. It's starting to go hoarse. And I've got to do this tomorrow too, so that'll be interesting. So one of our nonprofits will be the ones that are actually managing it, not necessarily
Preferably the Hot Springs Angels, Miracle Hot Springs Conservancy.
Okay.
Working with Gary, if you'd like to work with us.
Of course.
You know?
Okay, so that's idea number 3 is a nonprofit that would be still be free, but they would be the ones that would be managing it in a way, use, numbers, times, rules and regulations.
Working with the Forest Service, so everybody's happy.
Okay. That would be a partnership, not a concession.
It would be a partnership.
Right.
I'd have a question. You did mention there was 2 of them, and now let's find the winner, the third. Is there something on your mind that you find comfort with already? You guys as a group, wondering, you know, if we could ever come to this.
Honestly, Concessionaire. Hands down.
Well, that's already one of the 2.
It is.
And you just said you were looking for the winning. Okay, you're just looking for
Yeah.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
mean, I'm serious when I say this isn't me running this. It's all of us having this discussion.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts? Ideas? Okay. All right. So next steps. If you're friends or if you have nothing going on between 1 and 3, you can come back here and hear this again tomorrow.
You're a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
Well, it's important to me to connect with people.
That's nice you're doing it 2 days.
So, that's, or if you have an idea tonight and you want to come back, burn some sage, you can come back tomorrow. Okay? We will have these available, these notes and everything. I'm going to capture it. I think it's like how much time do I have before my voice actually goes, and it's short. So, with that being said, 1, I hope that this was beneficial for people. 2, it's not over yet. We will get through this. The best way to do this is for you to stay engaged. Hal likes to call me, hey, when are we having this? Continue to do that. Hal has my phone, my cell number. I don't mind sharing my cell number with people. And you texting me, this is the best way because typically you'll get a voicemail. It's because I'm on the line with Hal. But I will return your phone call if you say, hey, this is such and such. Please give me a call. I want to talk to you about this. Oh my God.
223
760-371. It's on my email signature, so I share it with everybody. 288.
I'm going to send you jokes of the
Don't
day.
call me tonight. I won't be able to talk.
I think this is a more productive meeting than the last one because I filmed the last one too. Okay, and the last one, if you go through and you listen to it, it sounded like coming from his angle, all they wanted was control, control, control. How to control this? They're saying straight up they're going to meet us. They're going to work with us. So I find this right here much more productive than the first one.
Thank you, Janet. Appreciate that. Janet said, the worst district ranger ever here. Let's get this started. Okay. All right. I know it's hot. Thank you for being here. Yes, we'll continue the conversations. We've got it marked down. Lots of videos, lots of pictures. It's memorialized. It's what we're going. And so stay in contact. We'll just end it with that. All right. Perfect.
We'll end it with a cute baby.
Yeah, you could. If you don't mind, taking yes, that truck, taking the paper off and sticking in the cash and then the plastic stuff.
Hey, that's Hamming. That's the lady who's a nurse at the hospital. She's here.
Oh.
The blonde lady. That's her when she was little. She said he was a bootlegger back in the day.
I know.